Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to today's episode of Sedat HR Digest. And I'm super excited to join you here today. This is my first appearance in 2024. So, a very happy new year to all of us. We look forward to having a very great session and interaction moment together. And so, we want to kickstart our episode for today. There's a Sedat HR Digest brought to us by Sedat Consult. And Sedat Consult is an HR consultation consultancy firm. We help organizations um, meet their HR needs. It doesn't matter what your need is. Once you bring it to Sedat Consult, we are able to tailor it to meet your specific needs. And so get in touch with us at sedat.consult on 0244629245, 0244629245 for all your HR needs. And here on Sedat HR Digest, we help you with every knowledge you need for you to impact positively on the bottom line of your organization. And so welcome once again. Wherever you're watching us from, please feel free, drop your name, your location in the comment box, and I'm going to read it out and acknowledge you duly. And also, if you have any question or any question or any clarification you want to seek, feel free. We are here to help you. Our resource person is ready for you. And so just type it in the comment section and we will read it out for our resource person to assist you. And today we're going to have an interesting conversation, and the whole conversation is going to take a different turn. And so 30 minutes into our discussion, we're going to give you the opportunity to ask the questions. And so I'm not going to do the questioning for you. You're going to ask the questions yourself. And so get your questions ready. And our resource person is here to help us. All right, he is a known face at Sedat HR Digest. We had a very good time with him last week, Sunday. And today we are here to have another exciting moment with him. Again, he's super ready to be with us and share his knowledge with us. And I know he will respond and say we are here to learn together. So I'm just waiting for that comment from him. I know it will definitely come. If it doesn't come, it means he doesn't want to mind me on this. But Jeffrey Boham is ready for us. He is a global learning and development, business, project management, and general human resource management and development professional. He is a consultant for many organizations and a course facilitator. So if you want him to facilitate a training for you or a session for you, reach out to Sedat Consult and we will do that arrangement for you. Jeff's interest is to help individuals and organizations to improve on their productivity and performance in the area of human resource management, talent development, performance improvements, business, project management, and general human capital management and evaluation. Please help me welcome to Sedat HR Digest this afternoon's episode, Mr. Jeff Boham. Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
Hi, Jeff.
Madam Patience, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
You said I should say something. You said I should say we're here to learn together.
I mentioned to viewers that you are here to share your knowledge with us, and I told them that I know if you come, you are going to say that we are here to learn together, and so I'm ready for that comment from you.
I wrote it down. So we are here to learn.
All right, thank you so much, Jeff, and a happy new year to you. My first time meeting you in 2024 on this platform, and last week was super, and I know today's episode would also be great, right? So I have Safia Salifu here. Thank you, Safia, for joining us. Please drop your, I know a lot of you out there listening and watching us. Kindly drop your name and your location in the comment box, and we will duly acknowledge you. And today we are looking at a very interesting topic. We all know that when the year starts, especially for HR practitioners, a lot of us are putting training programs together and all that. But the question is, How do we put all these things together? What method are we using? What is even the rationale involved in having training organized and evaluating it? Do we even evaluate trainees to make sure that it is having the right impact on the organization? A lot of HR practitioners complain that they don't get approval when they um, share their training budgets and all that with their executives. But the question is, are our trainings having the right impact on the organization? Could it be the reason why we are not getting approval for our HR training budget? Our resource person is here to take us through um, our topic for today, and we are looking at evaluating training programs, rationale, and methods. Evaluating training programs, rationale, and method. And you can trust that our resource person is well vested in this area to help us know and understand how to evaluate our training program. But before I allow him to start his conversation or his interaction with us, let me go back to the chats, the comment section. I have some people writing down their names and location. I want to acknowledge them. Mavis Adams is watching us from Teaching Mind. Thank you, Mavis. Happy New Year to you. Stephen and Tifo is watching us from Koforidia. Happy New Year, Stephen. Abna Afrakuma Prempe says, hi, Pat. Your girl Abna here. Hi, Abna. Happy New Year. And she looks forward to an insightful session. I have Simon from Mount So, whoa, I have to visit you because this is my first time hearing where you are watching us. So I'll come and visit you in your area. But happy New Year's, Simon. It's good to have all of you here. Please share your name, your location with us, and don't forget today we are taking the questions from you. And so Jeff is going to answer the questions that you type in the comment box. So it's not going to come from me. He's going to take us through and help us understand. And then right after his presentation to us, you would ask the question, or if you want to seek any clarification, please feel free and put it in the comment section or comment box. I'll read it out for Jeff to respond to us. I have Love Abuaje. Love is watching us from Spinters. And Love says, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, darling. I have Brenda says she's watching us from Uganda. Wow. Thank you, Brenda, so much for watching us. Happy New Year to you. And it's good to have you on Sedat HR Digest. Rhoda is watching us from North Kanishi. Hey, Rhoda, good to have you here. Hope North K is doing well. And don't worry, you are closer to me. At least I can drive to and come and visit you one of these days. All right, so I guess we are ready for a resource person. And so to kickstart the conversation, I would like Jeff to help us understand what training evaluation is all about. What methods can we use to evaluate our trainings? And what is the rationale behind training, evaluating trainings? And so, Jeff, over to you. We are all ears.
Thank you very much, Madam Patience. And I just want the audience to know right from the beginning that I'm dealing with a terrible cold, so it's been a bit slow here on my end. So in case you feel the energy to be a bit low, that's the reason. I'm dealing with a very terrible cold here. And also, I want to acknowledge Brenda Bay, who's watching from Uganda. I did mention to her that if she watches, I will definitely acknowledge her. So I like to acknowledge her as well. The question was, why do we evaluate training programs? What I'm going to say is, whatever gets measured gets done. Let me. I just want to bring this down to everyday layman's terms for people to fully understand what I'm talking about. Somebody goes to the hospital, you check the person's temperature. The person's temperature is at a certain point. Okay, you want to heal the person. After you go through the processes to heal the person, you want to go back and check the temperature to see if the temperature has normalized. So the essence of evaluating training programs is really to find out if the expectations of training were met. So, for example, if the company is dealing with low productivity and there's a need, maybe training needs are established, and there's a need to find out, or there's a need to improve productivity through training. After the training gets implemented, it's important that training is measured again to see, because technically, evaluation is the analysis at the end of the training. So basically, once the training program gets done, you want to go back and measure to see if the training expectations were met and if they did align with the objectives that were set out to be achieved. So that's the purpose of evaluating training. If anybody has any questions, if anything is not clear with anybody, we can go ahead and take a look at it. Madam Patience?
Hi, Jeff.
Yeah, so I think I gave a brief explanation of why we actually measure training. I would say that it is critical that we show the return on investment for training, because if we don't do that, then it's going to be difficult for us to get budgetary allocations. It's going to be difficult. I mean, if your dad tells you to get 10, $15 and do something with it, you should be able to go back to say, Daddy, this is what I use the $10 for. This is what I did out of it. So you establish value. You want to demonstrate the effective use of that resource. If you do that appropriately, the next time around when you ask for money, then they will say, I know this person knows how to use money, so I'm going to give this person money. I know in the beginning you said something. You said it's important that we find a way to kind of justify why we need to be giving budgets. The essence of evaluating training, that is really why we have to evaluate training, to be able to go back and show that the training that we actually embarked on really did make a difference.
Right, thank you very much, Jeff. And so, please, if you have any question relating to what we are discussing, like I said, today we are taking the questions from you. Please drop it in the comment section and I'll read it out for Jeff. And whilst we wait for questions to start dropping, I want to find out from Jeff. Now, we are looking at evaluating the effectiveness of training, and then we want to look at the rationale and then the methods. So, what methods can we use to evaluate trainings in our organizations?
Thank you, patience. There's any organization can decide to go with any methodology that they choose. However, universally, there are two main approaches. And in fact, even within the two, there's one that is heavily used. There's the Kirkpatrick four levels approach, and then there's the Jack Phillips, I would say level five ROI approach. So, you know, depending on whatever, I would say the answer to every question in life is it depends. However, if a person wants to use the Kirkpatrick four levels approach, the four levels are reaction, learning, transfer, and business results. And I'm going to walk through that later on. And then once you get through that, the next thing that actually gets done, if you go with the Jack Phillips approach, it's called return on investment. They have an ROI institute, and basically what they do at that point is they look at the dollar value that is added to the whatever training activity was undertaken, how the financial impact of the training. So when it comes to, I would say, the Kirkpatrick four levels, level one, like I said, is reaction. When you go through training, basically what you do for reaction is you find out, we call them smiley sheets. You find out if people really enjoy the training, if they like the environment, if they like the facilitator, if they like the food, if they like the resources that were shared and things like that. It's just the immediate reaction. How do they react to the training? Then once you finish that, the next phase that you look for is, did they really learn something? Because the essence of training is to learn something out of it. You go to the classroom to learn something. So did they learn something out of it? And then once that learning is established, then the third phase is, did that learning that happened in the classroom transfer to the workplace? Okay, did people start learning new skills, or what the new skills that were learned in the classroom? Did people start showing impacts in the workplace? Okay, and once those impacts are reviewed, the next thing you want to find out is, did those impacts, then the training that transferred to the workplace, did it actually lead to the business results? Let me go back and explain something. The reason why we typically get into training is, number one, there's a business need. Look at it from a V-shaped point of view. There's a business need. Okay, with that business need, the organization says, what is causing this business need? Do we have the skills and capabilities? So you look at it one step down. Okay, we look at the capabilities and skills. Are people utilizing skills and capabilities? Are people doing what they have to do in order for us to meet the business need? If they are not doing it, then we go down again from a V-shaped point of view. Do they have the skills and capabilities? Do they have the skills? Do we have to take them to the classroom and teach them in the classroom? And then number four, do they even have a yearning and an interest to really do what we're talking about here? So in that regard, if you look at it from a V-shaped point of view, it comes from the top to the down. So when we are evaluating, we actually evaluate from the bottom to the top. Where we're looking at now, we're looking at the bottom part. When they were in the classroom, did they react to it properly? If they reacted to it well, did they learn something out of it? If they learned something out of it, did they really bring those new skills to the workplace? And if they brought the new skills to the workplace, did it actually impact the business result that we're looking at? Okay, so that is the Kirkpatrick four levels approach. And then there's another friend who actually, in fact, the Kirkpatricks were my previous bosses, just to let you know. And again, sorry that I have a cold, it's a bit challenging to hear. And with the Jack Phillips approach, Jack Phillips is also a different person. He is more of an accountant and more of a statistics and numbers person. So his bottom line is, when it comes down to the results, he wants to show the dollar value of the result. For example, if the training led to an increase, in, let's say, an increase in morale and support for a project, he is looking at the dollar value. Okay, before the morale booster, before the morale booster prompted by training, what was the amount the government was making? After the training, what was the amount the government was making? Once we compare the two, the dollar value is return on investment, and that is what Jack Phillips does for ROI, which is number 5. Do we have any questions? I know some may find it a bit challenging to understand, but do we have any questions?
If you have any question, kindly drop it here for us. Jeff is ready to assist us if you want to seek clarification. Today he's not well, and so probably you didn't hear something well and you want him to go over again. Please feel free and then put it in the comment box. We'll read it out to him. So Jeff, so whilst we wait for them or the questions to come, I guess I would also be asking some few questions here. So we want to find out, what role does line managers play in evaluating training effectiveness?
Thank you very much, Madam Patience. That's a very important question that you ask. Line managers, what role do they play? Now let's get clarification. Who is the line manager in the first place? The line manager is that person who supervises the person who's going for training. Okay. So what does a line manager do? the line manager, first and foremost, is an extension of the business. The line manager is the field general, the person who actually ensures that the training is implemented. So, what I would say the line manager should do, okay, what I would say the line manager should do is, even before the employee gets to training, sorry, the line manager should coach and prep the employee. The line manager should look at the materials that are, if possible, they should look at the objectives of the training. The line manager should say, let's say, let me use a scenario. Let's say Brenda Bay watching from Uganda and I work together. Okay, Brenda is my boss. What Brenda should do is Brenda should sit me down and say, Jeffrey, tomorrow or this week, we've asked you to go for training. These are the top 5 objectives of the training. Okay, we want you to learn A, B, C, D, E. Remember that we are dealing with these challenges in the workplace. So Brenda should coach Jeffrey and prepare Jeffrey and get Jeffrey to start understanding that the training that actually is going to be undertaken has a relevance in the workplace. So when Jeffrey goes to the training, Jeffrey has some notes and says, Brenda says I need to catch these things. So bottom line managers have to really coach the employees to make sure that they get the right information that they're supposed to get out of the training. And when they come back from training, line managers have to sit with them and say, like a debrief, what did you learn from training? Okay, how are you going to apply these things in the workplace? Do you remember we said we're going to need you to do A, B, C, D, E? You learned A, B, C, D, E in the workplace. Tell me how you're going to apply it. Now, line managers also have to give them assignments related to the training. So I would say the role of the line manager is actually to help, okay, the training transfer, to help coach and prepare the employee to basically take that training, those new skills, and apply them to the workplace. So the line manager's basic role is aiding the transfer of training, I would say.
Right, Jeff. Thank you so much. We have a question from Mavis. Mavis says, please, when is the appropriate time for training, for evaluating training? When is the appropriate time for evaluating training?
The answer to every question, Mavis, is it depends. It depends because technically, you want to evaluate training after the impact of the training has been completed. However, it makes sense to also evaluate along the way. So if, let me use the example of Brenda Bay and Jeffrey. Okay, Brenda is Jeffrey's boss. Brenda could say, I want to check in with you, Jeffrey. How's training going? Maybe Jeffrey attends training and it's a week-long training. Some managers might say, go through the training, come back, use the training for 3 months, and let's see whether you're able to learn something out of it. Some managers might also say, well, I want to help you. I want to guide you. I want to constantly check in with you. I want to give you feedback. I want to support the process. So, Jeffrey, how did training go today? How did training go on Tuesday? How did training go on Wednesday? What did you learn? How can we apply it? So it depends on what the manager wants to do. Some managers want to tie themselves to the hip and get you to be coached and guided throughout the process. Some people might want to step back and leave you to implement. So I think there should be a conversation. There should be a conversation around how training is going to be evaluated upfront, so that when the employee who's going through the training knows that this is how they are going to be evaluated, then they will do what it takes to actually get through it successfully. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you very much, Jeff. Mavis, please let us know if you are okay with the or you if you understood the response, or if the response was clear for you. Please let us know. We want to make sure that whatever question you ask is clearly understood by you. All right, so Another question that I have, so from I want to find out, Jeff. We know that usually when people go for training, it's either to come bridge a gap or enhance their skills to what they are doing. Okay, so Mavis says she's okay. Thank you very much, Mavis. How do you handle a staff who has been put on training to bridge the person's gap for, I mean, in terms of performance? So you've put this person on training for a very long time just to help the person um, um, bridge the gap that he or she, the gap that exists between what the skill he or she possesses and what the organization is looking out for to help achieve its goals. For such a staff or a team member who is not able to bridge the gap, how do we handle the person? What should we do to make sure that we have we've supported the person enough? And at what point do we conclude that this person is actually not in for it?
You know, there are so many HR processes that can be utilized with regards to the scenario that you're creating. Um, Most of the time, when people are not doing well, when they're not meeting the expectations of and for performance, there could be so many things really causing it. Some people may be skillful, some people may be competent, but maybe they're having issues at home. Somebody's performance levels may drop mainly because they're going through a divorce. Somebody's performance levels may drop maybe because they have a death in the family. There are so many things that can affect a person. So when you try training initially and training doesn't really help, you want to look at other potential causes. But to me, before you even send a person to training, you want to do a thorough needs analysis to understand specifically what is causing the dip in performance. There's something called a performance improvement plan. Somebody can be put on a performance improvement plan and say, for the next 3 months, we want to we want you to improve performance in these 10 areas. If we don't see a performance improvement within 3 months in these 10 areas, then unfortunately, we are not going to be able to continue your employment. We are going to probably have to terminate your employment. And when the and throughout that performance improvement process, you want to guide the employee. You want to really sit with the employee, maybe week in, week out, to really understand what's going on, what's challenging, because remember, you don't just want to lose people too, because there's a cost associated with replacing people. The person comes to the company, the person works for the company for 6 months, and you think the person is not doing well. There are a lot of people. I mean, I always like to use my soccer analogies. Unfortunately, I know most Ghanaians like soccer. Somebody may be a bad player on one team, but they go to another team and they are the best player. Why is it so? Maybe it's because of how the person is coached. Maybe it's because the other team listened to the person more. So you want to be sure that you capture all those things and that you are doing whatever it takes. You want to do your part. Some people's morale fall. Some people's morale fall not because they can't do the job, but because they don't like the people they're working with. You build those relationships, you make those things work. But ultimately, if you are not seeing a result, you may want to request to use a performance improvement plan to make things work. Obviously, I would say, Madam Patience, that would be my approach to answering that question.
Right, thank you very much, Jeff. And we have a question from Abna Afrakuma. Abna says that during appraisals, there is a session for training done within the year. My question is, do you write training sponsored by the organization solely or add other personal training programs attended?
That's a good question, Abina. I would say there's something called training and there's something called development. There's training and there's personal development. So a good manager, I would say a good manager, there's something called mandatory trainings. There are some trainings that the company sends the employee to with the expectation that the employee comes with new skills and new competencies. Those are mandatory trainings. So you can talk about mandatory trainings, but also you want to challenge the employee. Okay, you want to challenge the employee to learn things by themselves. Sorry. So I would say when it comes to review, it depends on the excuse me. Sorry, it depends on the company culture. It depends on what was set out from the beginning. But I would evaluate not just the mandatory trainings, I would also find out what the person did by themselves. I mean, if I have two people on my team and I send them both to training and they both go to training, but the other one gets up every morning, 5 a.m., and goes to jog for 2 hours before coming to work, I want to reward the person for that because whatever new competencies the person is building, okay, the person is going to bring that back to the workplace and the person is going to use that to impact the business. So I want to know all those things. Is the person attending other trainings outside of the company trainings? Is the person going on YouTube himself or herself? Is the person learning new things? Things like that. I hope that helps, Madam Abna.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you so much. I'm sure Abna would get back to us on her question. Please, if you have any question, kindly drop it in the comment section. I will read it out. And because our guest is not feeling too well, we won't travel the full hour. We will be doing 45 minutes. So we have some few minutes to wrap up this conversation so he can take some rest and take his medication. Right. So Abna says it's been very helpful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Abna. So, Jeff, I want to find out what benefits does organizations stand to gain when they evaluate trainings? Is it worth it at all, or they should just put it? What do they like derive, or what's the benefit that they tend to gain if they take their time to properly evaluate trainings?
I want to use an analogy, Madam Patience. You tell your children to clean their bedrooms. You tell your children to wash the plates in the kitchen. If you don't go and check whether the plates have been washed, if you don't go and check whether the children actually clean their bedrooms, will you find out whether the work was done or not? And I use this simple analogy to really say it's important. Okay. There is, if we establish a need, if we find a reason why we have to send people to training, it's important that we evaluate the impact of the training to understand how the training is actually boosting the business. So that next time when we're sending people through training, we know that that training is going to make XYZ impact. So when we are sending folks to training, I would say you don't have to evaluate all the time. If there's maybe a common training that you send people to, you can evaluate that training and really establish the impact of the training. Maybe XYZ bootcamp for the past 5 years has increased productivity by 10%. So if we are sending a person to XYZ bootcamp, we may not evaluate it, but we can make a fair assumption based on previous results that, because remember there's a cost to evaluating training. You have to get people to go in and do the reaction, the learning, the transfer, the business impact. There's a cost to training and some of these things. So if you don't want to incur the cost of training all the time, what you do is you really, really, really have to make sure that at least for a period of time that you've genuinely evaluated the training, that you have an understanding of what the training does. Let me give another example. Why are we giving medications when we go to the hospital? Because efficacy studies have been made. Evaluation of the medications when people take those medications over a long period of time has been taken. Okay, so when a doctor gives you 10 milligrams of XYZ, the doctor knows that this is the impact that is going to make in your life. This is how much it's going to clear your sinus. This is how much it's going to clear your cold, because the 10 people that took it in the past had an average of relief within 3 days. So the doctor can say, take 25 milligrams, and I expect that within 3 days or less, you will be healed. That is the why we have to evaluate training. We have to evaluate training to understand the efficacy of the training program and what general impact it makes to the business, so that next time when we're prescribing that training, that at least we understand that this is what we're going to get out of it. Thank you very much, Madam Patience.
Thank you, Jeff. And we are wrapping up the discussion with this final question from why. So the Labor Act of Ghana 2003 at 651, Section 9, duties of the employer or duties of employers. So Section 9, subsection D says that employers have a duty to develop the human resources by way of training and retraining of these resources that works for them. What message do you have for organizations or employers who do not train and retrain their workers?
I don't really write the labor code, and I don't really know why they are written. But my thing is, every employer is free, in my opinion, every employer is free to come up with their business strategy. So if the Labor Act says employers have a responsibility or duty to actually train and develop their employees, some organizations might say, we don't want to train people. We want to hire the best of the street already. We want other companies to train them. We want to pay people top dollar so they come to our company. So I don't know why they have that labor code. Unfortunately, I don't understand it. And I'm not trying to justify or refute its validity. But I would say, if I was an employer and if I had questions around that, I would go to the Labor Commission and say, hey, explain to me what is going on here. I am a big fan of selecting the best and the brightest. Before I bring you even into the organization, I want to know that you have the skills and capabilities to be able to be a fit with my company and to also to make an impact on my company and to my company. So that's how I look at it. I don't know. I don't like to get too much into the legal aspects of it. And I honestly wonder why there would be a labor act to say employers have a responsibility to train people. Okay, technically, I'm not understanding it, but I also don't want to say I know why it's there. I don't want to challenge it in any way. I hope that answers the question for you.
Right, Jeff. Thank you so much. It's good to have you today. Right. So while the discussion was going on, we had some few people putting down their or dropping their names and location, and I would love to mention their names and acknowledge them. Then we can call it um an evening. All right. So Anne says Anne is watching us from Tema. Thank you. And Michael is watching us from Cape Coast. Thank you very much, Michael. And then thank you to everyone that's made time to watch us today. That's a Sadat HR Digest brought to us by Sadat Consult. And today we had discussed or looked at evaluating training effectiveness, the rationale and method in going about it. Our resource person had been Jeff Boam. Right. Thank you so much, Jeff, for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to have you and host you on Sadat HR Digest. And a very big thank you to all our viewers who tuned in to watch us. Thank you. We really appreciate your time with us. Please make time and go on visit our social media handles. We are on Facebook. We are on LinkedIn, and we are on YouTube. Like, comment, share. Um, on all our platform. Let others also enjoy what you are enjoying. Remember, we are here to learn, relearn, and unlearn. And that is what Sedat HR Digest is here to help you to do. We want you to be the best version of yourself. We want you to impact your organization positively. And want you to carry out the right practices as far as your HR profession is concerned. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm happy to be your host for this episode. My name is Patience Crunchy, and I'll see you next week. Next week, we are coming your way with another interesting episode. Jeff, thank you so much. You were not well, but you still made time to join us here. We really appreciate that from the team to you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And then thank you to all of you. We'll see you next week. Tomorrow begins another week. Make sure that you have a well clearly defined goal for your week, and make sure that on Friday when you are leaving the office or about to leave the office, you evaluate whatever you put down or you evaluate whatever you stated to be sure whether you truly achieved it or you didn't. And if you didn't achieve it, you ask yourself the questions: why, what happened, and why, what, I mean, ask all the whys and ask all the questions you could ask yourself. But if you really did achieve it, you can tap yourself at the back and say, well done. Thank you so much. Rest well so you can have a very fruitful and energetic beginning of the week. Thank you so much and have a lovely evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, everyone who watched. Thank you, Brenda Bay from Uganda.